Well, I mean, why not? I mean, what would you know about an advanced civilization, right? We don't know what they're up to.
You're both right in your own way. I think we could debate this the entire day, okay? Here's something that I think will really fascinate you. We're going to talk to Bob White. Bob White says that he saw a UFO, it saw him, it shot something to Earth. He picked it up and he says it's a piece of a UFO.
If this is the real thing, I want to see it.
When it went up into the sky, it was something I had never seen before, and I had the feeling it was not of this world.
Hi, good morning. Hi, Bob. How are you? Although we've looked at other UFO trace evidence cases, Bob's is different. He says he has an actual piece of a UFO that he discovered after an amazing encounter in 1985. Bob, could you tell us how you came into possession of this unique-looking object?
I was in Grand Junction, Colorado, between Grand Junction and Cisco, Utah, and it was late at night, and the lady friend and I were driving. We saw this light up ahead. This was a huge light. It was about the size of a 3-story building. But she turned the headlights on me, and when she did, this thing just shot up in the air like that, just as fast as my eyes could follow it. And it connected to 2 other lights, like 2 blue neon tubular lights, one on top of the other, with a space in between. And when it hit this, it just shot out of sight. But before it did, I saw kind of a little explosion like. This thing came back down toward me. There was a groove in the ground, and I followed the groove in the ground until I saw this thing lying there, and it was still glowing hot.
So after Bob sees this object, he heads out to where he thought the piece had landed, and he sees this groove in the ground, as if this piece came down at a high velocity and skidded to a stop. Now, this is the first time I've heard a story like this, and the fact that he not only found this piece, but has it to show, is amazing.
So, Dr. Gibbons, have you done any work yourself on this?
Yes, I have.
Dr. Robert Gibbons is a physicist who's formerly worked at NASA, Northrop Grumman, and Hughes Aircraft. He served in the U.S. Army for over 20 years, and his entire experience he's never encountered anything quite like the Bob White object. In the year 2000, he joined Bob White's team to determine once and for all what this object really is.
So we went to Laughlin, Nevada, and during that time, the object affected the batteries in the wall safe at the hotel 3 days in a row. The batteries had died and were broken open the first day. People from the hotel had to come up and put on an electronic meter to open the safe. The meter said the safe is open, yet it was not. So the first night they had to drill it. This happened 2 more nights in a row. There must be some effect coming from the object, some kind of radiation or something causing those batteries to go dead.
Whatever caused this safe to malfunction, it was obviously not an isolated incident. So to determine if it was some kind of X-ray or gamma ray, Dr. Gibbons set up a test utilizing dental X-ray film and the Bob White object.
I made a cylinder. We put a film, unexposed film at the top, unexposed film at the bottom, and then we had facing in on the cylinder films, and we came up with a really, really interesting conclusion. These are the actual dental X-ray films. The one of importance is the one with the 2 black spots.
Right. So you're saying you held the object up to X-ray?
Actually, this sat on the film for 48 hours, and during that time, something exposed the film, not just fogged it, but put 2 distinct spots which match up with the 2 lobes, if you will, of the object.
It looks like the object has 2 distinct lobes, as Dr. Gibbons calls them. And in this X-ray test, when you line up the film with the object, the 2 lobes match up almost perfectly with the exposure on the film. So something is emitting from the object that causes the film to expose. But what this is and the reason for this, it's still undetermined.
Well, what about scientists? What have they said about this?
The first thing I did was send it to New Mexico Tech, and Dr. And he said, had I known the story on this, I would have suggested that you do isotope ratio abundance tests on it, because he said, we don't have the equipment here to perform these tests.
An isotopic ratio abundance test measures the amount of isotopes in a given element. Different elements like chromium, titanium, and strontium have a range of isotopes in their composition. But formed in a different or even alien environment, these ratios could be different.
I had contacts to go to Los Alamos, and there I met who was the top metallurgist, and Dr. who they called in on special occasions, and he was really excited about this because he had never seen anything like it before. He said to me, this is something that I've been looking for all my life. He said, this is definitely extraterrestrial. Now we have a report from Los Alamos. They said they did the analysis on silicon. I called Dr. and I asked him about it. He said, aluminum. And I'm saying, why does he keep talking about aluminum? The report says you did it on silicon. He said, well, we'll have to talk to So I called and said, isotopes? No, we didn't do any isotope tests at all.
Although Los Alamos was supposed to do this isotopic ratio abundance test, they denied that they did.
So were you getting the feeling that all these scientists that were doing the analysis were lying to you?
Absolutely lying to me.
We have a piece that may have fallen off of a UFO. We know that it affected a wall safe and caused it to malfunction 3 nights in a row. And although there have been multiple labs and analysts that have looked at this object, Bob claims that they're scared to talk about it after their tests. But we've contacted 2 scientists who are brave enough to talk to us and analyze the Bob White object.
My initial impression of the object was that it was extremely extraordinary. It was something like which I'd never seen before.
Chris Ellis is a solid-state physicist with an expertise focusing on aluminum alloys and semiconductors.
After poring over the data, we found that the object is an aluminum alloy of unknown origin. This is not anything like we've